Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report with some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders, they decided they can't take it anymore, and they have decided to move on from offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you what I think about the Raiders deciding already into this season at 2-7, moving on from Getsy. I'm going to tell you what I think of the guy that they're going to have over now the play calling duties. And for the Raiders, I think this is a big time message out there that they're not going to just roll over and play dead, that they're still going to try to figure out a way to win this year. I'm not going to lie, tonight's game was one that I was willing to already try to forget about. I was literally falling asleep, getting ready to go to bed, and then I heard the phone ringing a little bit, and there you go. It's Jeremy Chugg saying, Mitch, time to get up, time to talk about this news. But I mean, this is just one of those moves that I think for the Raiders, and I think for a lot of Raiders fans, we were just looking for an answer. Like, when you've seen the same song and dance over and over and over again, sorry, Chuck was trying to get back here, but when you see the same song and dance over and over and over again as a fan base, and I think like Mark Davis has probably seen that as well, where the Raiders offense, I felt like does a really good job in that first script of plays, the first quarter, and I even tweeted it out like, I can't wait for the Raiders to look like a decent offense in the first drive, or maybe their first drive or two, first quarter, and then for the rest of the game that they just have no ability to move the football, whatever, and it's because, yeah, bad coaching, yeah, I get it, the talent level's not as great either, but this is just one of those moves that if you're the Raiders, you had to try something. So you go out, you decide to move on from Luke Getsy, and now you're going to go out and you're going to give the keys here, which to former Washington OC Scott Turner. I'm glad that the Raiders are giving Scott Turner a job. And there was a few other names that I thought that the Raiders could potentially give this other, play calling job to. I thought that you could consider Joe Philbin. I thought that you could consider Steckel, who I think is a very well-respected tight end coach. But the idea of you going out and getting Scott Turner, Edgar Bennett was another name, but Turner has at least OC play calling experience. It's a few years ago. He did it with the Washington Football Commanders. Like, they were a different team name, I feel like, every year that he was there. But from 2020 to 2022, 3 years of OC calling experience. Yes, none of those offenses were great, I'll admit, but I'll also say that none of the quarterback play was great, and not a lot of those teams were great for the Commanders. So I don't want people to just automatically be like, well, Scott Turner, he wasn't all that great before. I think that this is just one of those moves where the Raiders, I think, showed even a little bit tonight that they've just been a better passing football team. I don't think that they're a good passing football team, but when you're unable to run the football and the Raiders just continuously try to run the football at they just are constantly trying to run the ball where, entering the game, you're 31st in the rush in the NFL in rushing. I don't know exactly what they are right now. 79 rushing yards per game. And I felt like they just always stuck with the run just for the sake of sticking with the run. And I think now with Turner, you're probably going to try to throw the football a little bit more. Maybe the Raiders decide to stick with only Desmond Ridder. I mean, this could have been one of those moves in order for that move as well. I know that Gardner Minshew did end up getting benched today, but at the same time, I think sometimes you just got to see at least what you're going to do. I just saw somebody tag me on Twitter, and it's like the guy just sprinting to chat sports right now. Now, I'm not going to go live. I know it's a little bit late there, and if I decided to go live, it would have been bringing Chugs and a bunch of people in. Quite frankly, the Raiders took a lot out of me today, and, it is what it is. But seriously, though, this is why you hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. Anytime Raiders news happens, I promise you, as you guys can tell, I was literally just asleep, and I was like, well, man, let's hop on the mic here. Let's talk about it a little bit. Even this team's going to stink at times, and right now that they do. They definitely stink right now, but I hope that you guys see that how much we appreciate all the content that we're able to put out. Tomorrow, the videos that I'll make, I'm going to talk about, I think, this a little bit more in depth around the Raiders deciding the can, Luke Getsy. But how about this? We're going now forward with Scott Turner, okay? Scott Turner is going to be the Raiders' new offensive play caller. We'll see how it ends up going. You got a week to be able to figure it out. I think the other reason why this move ended up happening tonight is because now you have 2 weeks to be able to get ready for the Miami Dolphins. And I think that this move does say that they're trying to win still. That when you make this move, I think now a lot of the attention is going to turn to Antonio Pierce, which I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit surprised that they did it. I really didn't think that they were going to end up firing Getsy because I really thought that AP was going to need a fall guy in case things did not go well. If you guys want to say hi to Chuck, he's a little bit mad that we ended up getting up. I know. What's up, dude? Almost time. But I do think that this is the Raiders in a sense, and I kind of respect it going, we're not going to just roll over. We got to try to figure out a way to get the ball rolling here, and we'll see how it ends up going down. So how about this? Let's talk about Scott Turner. Let's talk about this Raiders offense here a little bit and moving forward and what we expect necessarily, because you got 2 weeks. You got your bye week right now. You got to get it ramped up here a little bit. And then you got to get ready for the Dolphins in Week 17. Then you got the Denver Broncos in Week 12. Then you got your freaking Kansas City Chiefs. And then you got a stretch of 5 games. I know a lot of Raiders fans are probably looking at, the draft pick. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking at it too. But this is not one of those moves that indicates that a team that right now is picking number 5 overall is just going to roll over on their stomachs and play dead. You got Jacksonville coming up. You got New Orleans. You got some games that, let's face it, no game's probably your favorite for the Raiders, but that New Orleans Saints game right now, that's going to be a big one, I think, when you look at draft capital overall. The Jags game is going to be a major game as well in terms of where you're going to get potentially a number 1 overall pick. It's wild stuff, man. Luke Getsy. I can't even believe the fact that he just got fired and that it's, again, for me, I live in Dallas, Texas, and the fact that right now it's 11 o'clock and this is when they decide to do it. I really wish that it would have happened yesterday or it would end up happening tomorrow when we're just chilling at work. And then that way we could do a whole bunch of stuff around it, go live and celebrate a little bit more. But today was a tough day. I'm not going to lie. I think when you're a Raider fan, you're going to go through your ups and downs. And I always say, I get it. I'm a new Raider fan. I'm not afraid to admit that. But when you go through the ups and downs that this season has already brought us, I mean, damn it, this does give me at least a little bit of reason to celebrate. And this is one of those years where you're going to take any celebrating that you possibly can and going out there. And I am now. I'm going to be curious to see what this team looks like with Scott Turner calling plays. I know that Turner, again, has not had maybe the greatest offensive coordinator trip, but based on the way that we've seen the Raiders play this season, I think we've seen them, when they're at their best, be able to throw the football a little bit more effectively than being able to run the football. Getsy was, I think, really just hired because the Raiders wanted to go get Cliff Kingsbury. Clifton wanted 3 years, was only offered 2. On top of that, wanted to play with Jaden Daniels. Probably heard that Jaden Daniels wasn't going to happen with the Commanders. Decided to go elsewhere, and the Raiders kind of just fell in love with the very first or next girl that they saw, and that was Luke Getsy. And now I think that this is a marriage that we can all agree was definitely the right move for the Raiders, where you just got to go out there and seal the deal. But wild news, man. We're going to talk about it again a little bit more in depth tomorrow. I'm going to break it down with Jeremy Chuggs. We're going to have even a little bit more content around this whole situation. If anything else happens around the Raiders, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date. I appreciate all the content that you guys always tune into. Again, the breaking news here is this. The Las Vegas Raiders have fired Luke Getsy, offensive coordinator, and they are going to now hand the keys over to Scott Turner, and he is going to be the interim OC for the Las Vegas Raiders. Hopefully you guys subscribe. Hopefully you got those notifications turned on, and hopefully you have a good night because I think all Raider fans need a good night. If you're looking for more videos around the silver and black, click this button right here. I promise you I got you covered no matter time or day. If you need even more videos around the silver and black, I got you right here as well. We're trying to pump out a lot of content here. And then if you need even more news, updates, all types of stories, all type of videos here on the Raiders Report, more content from me, and then even more content here for the nation.